Commander Lee Jinwoo stared at the spinning hologram in the center of the metal table. The planet looked perfect. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds swirling peacefully. But looks could kill, and this world had killed many. The meeting room on the Galactic Council space station buzzed with nervous energy. Alien beings from across the galaxy sat around the curved table, their strange forms casting odd shadows under the bright lights. Some had tentacles, others had wings, and a few looked like walking crystals. 17 different species tried to make homes there, said Councillor Vexter. His purple tentacles moved like angry snakes as he spoke. 17 failures. The Zephyrians were first. They built a beautiful city with towers that reached the clouds. 3 weeks later, we found empty buildings and cold food still sitting on tables. Captain Park Soman pushed her black hair behind her ear and leaned closer to the hologram. She was one of only 3 humans in the room, and she felt the weight of curious alien eyes watching her every move. What killed them? She asked. Nothing, clicked Councillor Reichtach. The insect-like alien's big eyes reflected the blue light from the planet image. That is the mystery. No weapons, no poison, no disease. They just ... left. Dr. Kim Dong-yoon, the 3rd human present, adjusted his glasses and spoke carefully. You said 17 species. Tell us about the others. Vextar's tentacles writhed faster. The Vorthok came next. You know them, those crystal beings who can live for thousands of years. They built underground cities that should have lasted forever. We found them empty after just 2 weeks. Not a single crystal person remained. The Nereid tried underwater colonies, added another alien counselor. Fish people who could breathe water and air. Their floating cities were found drifting, empty on the ocean surface, and the others, Park Soman pressed. All the same story, Reichtach buzzed. Different species, different approaches, same result, total disappearance within 1 month. The advanced Zeltrons with their mind powers, the warrior Kragans with their weapons, the peaceful Mellory with their healing abilities, all gone. The room fell quiet except for the soft hum of the space station's engines. The hologram kept spinning, showing the deadly beautiful world that had become a graveyard for so many hopes and dreams. Commander Lee Jinwoo had been quiet during the briefing, but now he stood up. His uniform was simple compared to the fancy robes and armor of the alien counselors. What do the investigation teams find when they go to these empty settlements? Everything left behind, Vexter answered. Computers still running, lights still on, food half-eaten and still warm sometimes, personal items, clothes, toys, everything except the people who owned them. Any signs of struggle? Dr. Kim asked, taking notes on his tablet. None. It looks like everyone just walked away in the middle of their daily activities and never came back. Reich leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. Some investigation teams report strange feelings when they visit the abandoned sites. Sadness, fear, and overwhelming loneliness. Most teams can only stay for a few hours before they have to leave. Have you tried monitoring the planet from orbit? Park Soman asked. Yes, replied Vexter. Satellites, spy drones, automated stations. They all work fine. The planet looks normal from space. It is only when living beings set foot on the surface that the problems begin. Another alien counselor, this one looking like a walking tree, spoke in a creaking voice. The planet has been declared forbidden, too dangerous for any more attempts at colonization. But the resources, Dr. Kim said, looking at the data on his tablet. The planet is rich in rare minerals. The soil is perfect for growing food. The climate is ideal for most known species. What good are resources if everyone who tries to get them disappears? Vexter's tentacles had stopped moving and now hung limply at his sides. We have lost thousands of beings to this cursed world. Commander Lee looked at his 2 human colleagues. Park Soman gave him a small nod. Dr. Kim pushed his glasses up his nose and nodded to a volunteer. Lee said simply. The aliens around the table made various sounds of surprise clicks, buzzes, and whistles. Vexter's tentacles started moving, again, faster than before. Humans, Reich's mandibles clicked rapidly. Your species only learned to travel between stars 50 years ago. You have no special powers, no advanced technology, no natural armor. If civilizations that have existed for thousands of years could not survive this planet, how do you think you can? Park Soman stood up beside her commander. Maybe that's exactly why we can succeed. Maybe being simple and basic is what's needed here. This is madness, whispered the tree like alien, sending primitives to their death. We're not primitive, Dr. Kim said quietly. We're different, and sometimes different is what works when nothing else will. Lee stepped forward and placed his hand on the table. Give us the coordinates to Kepler 44-C. Humanity officially requests colonization rights to the graveyard planet. The alien counselors looked at each other with expressions that might have been pity or confusion. Finally, Vexstar sighed, a sound like air leaking from a balloon. Very well, but when your people disappear like all the others, do not say we did not warn you. The big ship New Soul came out of the star tunnel with a soft whoosh. Inside, 5,000 humans pressed against the windows to see their new home. The planet looked like a giant blue and green ball floating in the darkness of space. Engineer Choi Hyensu wiped fog from the glass with his sleeve. He had worked on spaceships for 20 years, but this was his first time seeing a world that had killed so many people. It looks so peaceful, he said to himself. Dr. Yoon Mingi stood next to him, her medical bag heavy on her shoulder. She was the ship's mind doctor, the person who helped people when their thoughts became too scary or sad, the most dangerous. Things often look the most beautiful, she said softly. Commander Lee's voice came through the speakers all over the ship. Listen up, everyone, we land at sunrise. Remember what we talked about during the trip. Write down everything you see, everything you feel, everything that seems strange. The aliens who came before us were smarter and stronger, but they were not human. We are different, and that might be what saves us. The first small ships left New Seoul as the sun came up over the planet. Pilot Han Sungmin flew his shuttle down through the clouds, his hands steady on the controls even though his heart was beating fast. Below them, they could see the empty city that the Zephyrians had built. Look at those towers, said archaeologist Oji Soo from the passenger seat. She studied old things for a living, but she had never seen anything like this. The buildings were made of crystal and metal, reaching up toward the sky like fingers. They're still glowing with power. Han landed the shuttle in a plaza between the towers. The landing was smooth, but everyone inside felt a strange chill as they touched the ground. Something was wrong here, even if they could not say what. Oh, Jisoo was the first to step outside. The air smelled like flowers and rain, perfect for breathing. The temperature was just right, not too hot or cold, but the silence was complete. No birds, no insects, no sound except the wind. The buildings are still working, she said into her radio, walking toward the nearest tower. The doors open when I get close. The lights are on inside. There's even music playing in some rooms. She found a dining hall with plates of food still on the tables. The food looked fresh, as if someone had just stepped away for a moment, but dust on the chairs showed that no one had sat there for months. It's like they were eating dinner and then just left. She reported back to the ship. More shuttles landed throughout the day. The humans set up a temporary camp in the center of the Zephyrian city. They brought tents, medical equipment, and communication devices. Everything worked normally. During the day, people joked and laughed as they explored the empty buildings. But when the sun went down, the nightmares began. Private Nam Taeyang had been a soldier for 5 years. He had faced enemy fire and dangerous missions without fear. But that first night on the planet, he woke up screaming like a child. His dreams had been full of darkness and whispers, voices calling his name from places he could not see. All around him in the sleeping tent, other people were having the same problem. Some cried in their sleep, others thrashed around, fighting invisible enemies. A few sat up with their eyes wide open, staring at nothing. Dr. Yoon Minji did not sleep that night. She moved from tent to tent, checking on people, taking notes, trying to understand what was happening. In her 20 years, as a doctor, she had never seen anything like this. Commander Lee, she said into her radio at 3 in the morning. We have a big problem. Almost everyone is having bad dreams. Really bad dreams. Some people are so scared they don't want to go back to sleep. Should we leave? Lee asked. He was tired too, but he had forced himself to stay awake to watch over the camp. Not yet, Dr. Yoon said. This is strange. The dreams are terrible, but people are still thinking clearly during the day. The other species must have been affected worse than we are. In the communication tent, engineer Choi Hyensu stared at his computer screens. He had been watching the camp's electronic systems all night, and what he saw made his hands shake. Radios stopped working for a few minutes every hour. The lights flickered at random times. The computers rebooted themselves without being told to. But it was not random. There was a pattern to it all. Sir, he said to Commander Lee, stumbling into the command tent with his tablet. The machines are acting strange, but I figured out when it happens. Every time the electronics fail, it matches exactly with when people are having the worst dreams. Lee looked at the data on the tablet. Lines and numbers showed the connection between the failing machines and the sleeping people. You're saying the dreams are affecting our equipment? Or something is affecting both, Choi said. During the day, everything works fine. But at night, when we sleep, something happens. It's like the planet is trying to get inside our heads. Lee felt a cold understanding creep up his spine. It's not just killing people randomly. It's feeding on them somehow. That's why the other species disappeared. They were drained of something while they slept. But the humans were still here. Scared, tired, but still alive and thinking. Whatever was hunting them had not finished the job yet. Dr. Kim Dong-yoon got down on his knees next to a patch of pretty blue flowers. They looked normal, like the kind you might find in any garden back on Earth. But his small electronic scanner was making strange beeping sounds as he held it near the blooms. The flowers seemed to glow very softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Kim watched the rhythm and felt something odd. It matched the way his own brainwaves moved when he was thinking hard about a problem. Shin Eri, come here quick, he called to the plant expert who was studying trees nearby. Eri ran over with her heavy equipment bag bouncing on her hip. She had been on the planet for 3 weeks now, and every day brought new mysteries. She set up her machines next to the flowers and immediately stepped back in surprise. That can't be right, she said, staring at her readings. These little flowers are putting out more electrical energy than our main computer back at camp. Kim nodded, his face serious. And look at this pattern. He showed her his scanner. The energy pulses match human brain activity. It's like the flowers are thinking. For 3 weeks, the humans had been doing something no other species had tried. Instead of running away when strange things happened, they stayed and asked questions. They measured everything, wrote down every detail, and treated the deadly planet like a puzzle waiting to be solved. That evening, all the scientists gathered in the big tent they used for meetings. The tent walls flapped in the gentle wind as Kim stood up to share what he had learned. I know why the other species disappeared, he said. This whole planet is alive. Not just the animals, every plant, every flower, every blade of grass. They're all connected underground like one giant brain. Geologist Bae Jinwon spread out his soil samples on the table. He had been digging holes all over the area, studying what lay beneath the surface. Kim is right. Look at these root systems. They go down deep and spread out for many kilometers. Under our feet right now, there's a network bigger than any city. A network of what? Asked Captain Park, leaning forward with interest. Plant roots that act like brain nerves, Bae explained. Every plant on this planet is connected to every other plant. When one flower thinks, they all think together. Dr. Yoon had been quiet during the meeting, but now she spoke up. That explains the dreams and the fear. This plant brain has been trying to eat the minds of everyone who comes here. The smarter the visitors were, the easier it was to consume them. Kim pointed to his data charts. The Zephyrians were too organized in their thinking. Their minds worked like perfect machines, which made them easy targets. The Vorthok crystal people stored their memories in neat, ordered patterns. Their plant brain could access everything and drain them completely. Commander Lee scratched his head, confused. But humans aren't stupid. Why are we still alive? Communications Officer Lim Daeho had been studying the brain patterns of everyone in the camp. He was shy and rarely spoke at meetings, but now he raised his hand like a student in school. Sir, I think it's because our minds are messy, he said. Quietly, human thoughts jump around. We think about 10 different things at once. We dream weird dreams that don't make sense. The plant brain can't figure us out. You're saying our minds are too chaotic? Park asked. Yes, but that's not the only thing, Dr. Yoon added, looking at her notes about how people were acting. Humans stick together. When one person has a nightmare, others comfort them. When someone feels scared, their friends help them feel better. This support makes it harder for the plant brain to completely take over any one person. That night, Engineer Choi could not sleep. He sat in the communication tent, watching the screens that monitored all the electronic equipment in the camp. For weeks he had been tracking the strange malfunctions that happened every night, but tonight he noticed something new. The electrical failures were not random attacks. They followed a pattern, like Morse code or music. The plant brain was not just trying to feed on the humans, it was trying to talk to them. Commander Lee, Choi said into his radio, his voice excited, come to the tent right away. I think I understand what's happening. Lee arrived within minutes, still wearing his sleeping clothes. What is it? Choi pointed to his screens, which showed waves of electrical activity moving through the camp's systems. The plant brain isn't just hungry. Look at these patterns. It's like someone tapping on a wall, trying to get attention. The plants are trying to communicate with us. Lee stared at the screen, watching the rhythmic pulses of energy. You mean all this time, while other species were being eaten, the planet was actually trying to talk to them? I think so. But the other species were either too scared to listen, or their minds were too different to understand. We're the first ones chaotic enough to survive the attempts at contact, and curious enough to figure out what it means. Outside the tent, the blue flowers pulsed softly in the darkness, sending their strange messages through roots that stretched across continents, waiting for the humans to finally understand what they were trying to say. Dr. Yun Minji put the strange metal helmet on her head, and took a deep breath. The helmet was covered in wires and small lights that blinked like stars. Around her, 50 other humans watched quietly, their faces full of worry and hope. I'm going to try talking to the planet now, she said, her voice steady even though her hands were shaking slightly. The moment she turned on the helmet, her mind exploded with thoughts that were not her own. Ancient memories flooded through her brain, images of empty space, of waiting for thousands of years, of calling out to visitors who never answered back. The loneliness was so strong it made her cry. It's not trying to hurt anyone, she said, tears running down her cheeks. It's just so lonely. It's been alone for so long that when it tries to make friends, it's too strong and scares everyone away. Engineer Choi watched his computer screens nervously. Numbers and lines moved across the displays, showing how Yoon's brain was handling the alien contact. The meditation training is working, he called out. Her mind is staying stable. Sergeant Park Min-seok had taught everyone in the camp how to control their thoughts using techniques he learned in the military. He showed them how to build walls in their minds to protect their most private thoughts while still allowing some communication. Breathe slowly, Park said to Yoon. Remember what we practiced. Let some thoughts through, but keep your core self protected. Dr. Kim had also given everyone special medicines that helped their brains stay calm during contact with the plant consciousness. Technician Chen had built devices that monitored everyone's brain activity and warned them when the psychic pressure became too strong. The schedule is working perfectly, reported Medical Officer Kang. No one talks to the planet for more than 4 hours at a time. Then they rest while someone else takes a turn. This way, no one's mind gets overwhelmed. The real breakthrough came during Pilot Han's turn to communicate with the planet. Instead of just trying to talk, he did something no alien species had ever thought to do. He shared his memories and dreams. Look at this, Han said after his session, tired but excited. The planet consciousness loves our messy human thoughts. It's fascinated by how we can be happy and sad at the same time, how we dream about impossible things, how we change our minds constantly. The plant consciousness was like a very old, very smart child who had never had any friends. Human thoughts were the most interesting thing it had ever encountered. In return for getting to experience human emotions and memories, it was willing to help the humans build their new home. Over the next few months, amazing things began to happen in the human settlement. Artist Lee Neon discovered she could create sculptures by sharing her creative dreams with the plants. The flowers and trees would grow into beautiful shapes that matched her imagination. Musician Jung Ho-seok found that when he played his guitar near the psychic plants, the music would travel through the root network under the ground and be heard all across the continent. The planet consciousness loved music and would create its own melodies in response. Even the children got involved. Young Kim Yuna, who was only 12 years old, had a special talent for communicating with the plants. She could share her sense of wonder and curiosity, and the plant consciousness would show her secret places on the planet in return. Construction manager Wu Taiwan was in charge of building the humans' permanent city. But this city was unlike any other ever built. Instead of cutting down trees and digging up the ground, the humans worked with the plants to grow their buildings. The trees will make themselves into the shapes we need, Wu explained to the other workers. The roots will create foundations that are stronger than concrete. The flowers will provide light and power for our homes. The city that grew was beautiful beyond anything humans had ever seen. Houses made of living wood that repaired themselves when damaged. Streets lined with flowers that glowed softly at night to provide light. Parks where the grass grew in patterns that changed based on the mood of the people walking on it. Commander Lee stood on a hill overlooking the new city 6 months after the humans had first landed. Below him, human children played games with flowers that moved and danced in response to their laughter. Adults worked in gardens where the plants helped them grow food that was more delicious than anything found on Earth. I can't believe it, Lee said to Captain Park, who stood beside him. Every other species that came here was destroyed within weeks. But we've been here half a year, and we're not just surviving, we're building something incredible. Park smiled, as she watched a group of teenagers teaching the plant consciousness how to play soccer, using flowers that rolled themselves into balls. Maybe being different isn't always a weakness. Maybe sometimes it's exactly what the universe needs. The planet pulsed gently around them, its ancient loneliness finally healing as it learned what it meant to have friends who understood that being different could be beautiful. The alien spaceship Harmony slowly approached the planet that had killed so many species. Inside, Counselor Vextar stared at his computer screen with disbelief. His purple tentacles twitched nervously as he read the numbers over and over again. "This cannot be right," he said to his fellow council members. "The sensors show 12,000 humans living on the Death Planet. 2 years ago, only 5,000 landed there." Counselor Reicht H. clicked his insect-like mouthparts. "Perhaps the sensors are broken. No one can survive on that world, let alone grow in numbers." A face appeared on their communication screen, Captain Park Soman, looking healthy and happy. Behind her, they could see a beautiful city with buildings that seemed to be made of living trees and glowing flowers. "Hello, council members," Park said with a smile. "Welcome to New Busan. We've been expecting you." "How are you still alive?" Vextar demanded. "And where did all these extra humans come from?" "Word got out," Park explained. "When other human colonies heard we had succeeded here, they wanted to join us. 3 more ships full of families arrived last year. We're building something amazing here." The alien visitors landed their ship in a plaza made of grass that seemed to move and dance in the wind. Dr. Kim met them at the landing pad, looking older but very pleased. "Come," he said. "Let me show you what we've built." As they walked through the city streets, the aliens saw things that made no sense. In the market area, humans were trading with flowers that moved and responded like living beings. A woman handed a glowing seed to a plant, and in return the plant gave her a fruit that sparkled with inner light. "The humans trade dreams and memories with the plants," Kim explained. "The plant consciousness loves experiencing human emotions. In return, it gives us food, materials, and knowledge." They passed a school where human children sat in a circle around an enormous tree. The tree's leaves rustled and moved in patterns, and the children took notes in their books. "The trees are teaching them mathematics," Kim said. "This particular tree has been alive for 3,000 years. It knows things about numbers and space that we never imagined." In the science buildings, humans worked alongside plants that seemed to think and react. Engineer Choi, who now had an important job managing relations with the planet, showed them a laboratory where flowers helped humans develop new medicines. "We don't fight the planet anymore," Choi explained. "We work together. The consciousness gives us its knowledge, and we give it our experiences, our creativity, our emotions, our unpredictable human nature." Counselor Reich's big eyes looked around in amazement. "But how do you avoid being drained of your life force like the other species?" Dr. Yoon appeared beside them. Her black hair now had streaks of silver from years of communicating with the alien consciousness, but her eyes were bright and alert. "We don't avoid it," she said. "We learned to live with it." The consciousness tried to connect with other species by overwhelming them completely. But human minds are too chaotic and unpredictable to be completely absorbed, and we support each other, which keeps us grounded in our human identity. As afternoon arrived, something magical happened throughout the city. All the humans stopped what they were doing and sat quietly for 1 hour. Children, adults, workers, and scientists all participated in what they called Communion Hour. The aliens watched as the humans shared their daily experiences with the planetary mind. A little girl showed her excitement about finding a new type of butterfly. An artist shared the joy she felt while painting a sunset. Even ordinary people like Accountant Park Hejin and mechanic Sun Junho shared their simple daily thoughts, and the ancient consciousness treasured every single one. "Your species is remarkable," Counselor Vexter said to Commander Lee, who was now the governor of the entire colony. "You succeeded where civilizations with thousands of years of advancement failed." Hao Lee smiled and gestured toward the thriving city around them. "We didn't try to conquer the planet or run away from it. We adapted. Humans are good at finding solutions that don't make sense to anyone else." As the alien ship prepared to leave, taking news of humanity's success back to the galaxy, 16-year-old Kim Yuna stood in a garden of the psychic flowers. She had been only 12 when the humans first arrived, and now she was the colony's best communicator with the plant consciousness. "The consciousness wants me to give you a message," she called to the departing aliens. "It says thank you. For the first time in 1,000,000 years, it has friends." Above them all, the sky lit up with beautiful colors, blues and purples and golds. that swirled like the northern lights back on Earth. These were the thoughts and feelings of the planetary mind, painting the heavens with gratitude and happiness. 12,000 humans continued their daily lives in the city that had grown from a partnership between two very different kinds of consciousness. They had proven that sometimes the best way to solve an impossible problem was not to be the smartest or the strongest, but simply to be willing to try something completely different. The Death Planet had become a garden of friendship, and the galaxy would never be the same.